Hello, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. In this video, I want to talk about what we visualise, what we see inside our minds. Now, we've talked a bit in a previous video about the idea of prediction and how we predict what's going to happen and how that's required for everyday life. Of course, we have to have an element of prediction in order to function in the world. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't really be able to do very much. We have to predict how much effort to put in to lift something. We have to predict various things, how people are going to react when we interact with them. Lots of things we predict in everyday life, and that's normal, and that's what we need to be able to do to function. But in a similar way, we have these pictures in our head that we associate with what outcomes are going to happen. So when we've been living with pain or other symptoms for a long time, those pictures start to change a bit, and we start to take on, we sort of visualise what's going to happen with regards to the symptoms we've been experiencing. And not surprisingly, when we're living with these symptoms, then the picture that we create in our head isn't a particularly positive one. And much like the prediction idea, we create this picture of not a great outcome, of things not being going very well. So it may be that we are living with back pain, for example, and we have to go to some event, and we know the chairs are going to be of a certain nature, hard seat or whatever kind of chairs it might be. And in our head, we're creating this picture of, I can just picture myself sitting there and my back getting really sore because I know that when I sit on these chairs for so long, my back gets really bad. So we're bringing in a bit of the crystal ball theory there again. We're predicting what's going to happen, but we're also starting to create this actual picture in our heads, this sort of scenario, this visualisation of how things are actually going to turn out. And as we said with the crystal ball sort of chat, we don't know. We're not, as far as I'm aware, I'm certainly not psychic, and I don't know anyone personally who is, but maybe you are. But for the most part, we cannot predict what's going to happen. But if we visualise things going a certain road, then there is a better chance that they're going to go that way. So if we are picturing this scenario in our heads where we're sitting in an uncomfortable chair, where our back pain is increasing, where we're becoming distressed, where the fear level is rising, we're predicting everyone else looking at us and going, oh, you should go again, and shuffling about the chair, that kind of situation, then that is creating the pathway there, that's reinforcing that pathway that's going to happen. So what if we flipped that a wee bit? So what if we used visualisation in a different way? So visualisation is used a lot in different situations, often with elite sports people, with people who give big talks at fancy events, politicians and inspirational speakers and all these kind of folk. And say athletes is probably the most well-known one for elite sports people will mentally rehearse what's going to happen. So they don't mentally rehearse themselves running quite well and then tripping over their lace and dropping the ball or missing a shot in tennis or shooting a basketball hoop and it missing. What they visualise is the outcome that they want to happen. And there have actually been studies that show that mental rehearsal and visualisation of these outcomes actually improves performance amongst elite sports people. Now, again, that as much as I could sit and visualise all day long of myself becoming an Olympic athlete, that's not going to happen. So we're not talking about creating, pie in the sky things that are just beyond the realm of possibilities. But visualising what outcome we want to happen, visualising that positive scenario can change the pathways in the brain. And as I said, there's actually studies to show that for elite athletes, if they mentally rehearse and visualise the successful outcome that they're looking for, then that actually improves their performance as well as the physical training. So there is something there. As I say, we're not trying to say I'm going to visualise myself, becoming a 100-metre sprint champion, because I don't think that's going to happen by visualisation. I'm probably not with training either. However, if we're thinking about a scenario where we're living with persistent symptoms and we're going to some situation or event where we are using our crystal ball and predicting that this is going to be something that isn't going to have a great outcome, what if we just flipped that a wee bit? What if we caught that thought of, oh, I know this is going to have a bad outcome, I know this is going to make my pain worse, I know this is going to be really distressing for me. What if we flip that and say, well, actually, what if I visualise that going exactly the way I wanted to go? What if I visualise myself standing at this event and my back not being sore? What if I visualise myself sitting on that chair, and round about me I can see everyone else and I can watch the show that's going on, and I can feel comfortable and settled and happy, and soak up the atmosphere and not be distressed by my back. I can visualise myself and really enjoying the whole evening and having a lovely time with my friends, or whatever it may be. What if you sit and visualise that? And yes, the wee doubting head will come in and go, oh yeah, but the last time you went and sat in a chair like that, I think it's not going to be great again. You probably shouldn't do it. So just catch the thought that we've talked about before. Excuse me. Catch the thought and say, yeah, well, that's okay. But this time I'm going to sit here and I'm going to visualise what's happening, and I'm going to imagine myself having this. And if the negative thought comes in, that's okay. And actually, even if the pain comes in, that's okay. Because I'm just sitting here and I'm visualising what's happening, and I'm imagining and I'm feeling it. So really trying to get right into the whole. So when it's talked about when it has benefits for sports people, they're really right in the situation. It's not just sitting going, yes, I can imagine myself sitting in the chair and the theatre is quite busy and the show comes on, and so it's all like that. Is really putting yourself right in the situation. What's the smells? What's the sounds? What's the feel of the chair on your legs? What's the atmosphere like? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What's the weather like? That whole, you're getting really right into the whole thing. So you're creating an entire picture, a total narrative round about what's going on here. So as I say, it's not trying to say that it's going to magic you into being some amazing different person to the amazing different person you are right now, but it's just to see if you can flip it. Just as another tool in the box to see if we can just change that narrative in the brain, change those pathways a wee bit. As I say, there's lots of good evidence for visualizations and the impact that can have, along with other things. So it's not the answer to everything. It's not going to make everything vanish into thin air, and I'm not trying to say that at all, but it's another thing we can take out the store cupboard and have, well, let's have a wee go at that and see how you go. What have you got to lose? There's nothing to lose by doing it. So I say, really try and get into it, really try and picture the whole situation, sounds, smells, touches, who's there, what you're wearing, what's going on, what's the atmosphere like, whatever the situation is, and really spend some time just sitting and really being right in it, because sit yourself right in the situation that you're visualising, and really try and get right into it and picture it going well. Imagine how that would feel. And you're creating that positive association then, because often what happens is that, as we said, there's that negative association between whatever the event will be, whatever the situation is, and the symptoms. So it's just another tool to try and switch that association a wee bit, just to try and turn it a little bit round. So it's another thing to have a wee go at and see how you go on. And I'd love to hear what you come up with, love to hear how it goes for you. So do drop me a wee message and let me know. And I'll leave it at that for now. Okay, bye for now.